I am John Smith. This is Backyard Reactions. If you're watching this video, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much. All right, I'm reacting to this trailer because I grew up listening to the 1950s music with my dad. He grew up as a teenager in the 50s, and that was his music. He was a huge Elvis fan. I wish I could have, or I wish he could have lived long enough to see this movie. He would have loved it. Now, before I show today's trailer, please subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and be sure to click the reminder bell. It helps. Whether you agree with my take on this film or not, leave a comment below, and I will be sure to address your comments at the end of my next video. Anyway, let's get our Elvis on and watch today's trailer.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
Let's don't let a good thing die.
Are you born with destiny? Or does it just come knocking at your door?
He's a young singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Give him a warm hayride welcome, Mr. Elvis Presley.
Get a haircut, buttercup!
In that moment, I watched that skinny boy transform into a superhero. He was my destiny. I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley. Are you ready to fly?
I'm ready. Ready to fly.
Tomorrow, all of America will be talking about Elvis Presley.
Try not to move around so much during the tape. I can't move, I can't sing. Some people wanted to put me in jail the way I was moving.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but you're a famous white boy.
The way he sings is God-given, so there can't be nothing wrong with it.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Martin Luther King has been shot to death in Memphis.
That's all right for you.
Tragedy, but it has nothing to do with us.
It has everything to do with us. Everyone once told me, when things are too dangerous to say, sing. I'm on before the shoot, and nobody's gonna remember me. I need to get back to who I really am. And who are you, Elvis? Gotta be making the most of this thing while I can. This can all be over in a flash.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity. The greatest show on earth.
Elvis has left the building.
All right. That movie, in my opinion, looks fantastic. I'm going to come right out and say it. I am geeked about this movie. First of all, I love Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, he doesn't do bad movies. He just doesn't. He is such a good actor. I even enjoyed watching him talk to a volleyball for 2 hours.
Well, regardless, I would rather take my chance out there in the ocean than to stay here and die on this shithole island, spending the rest of my life talking to a goddamn volleyball!
So imagine this movie, I imagine this movie is going to be very good. Although I find Tom Hanks' accent in this particular trailer rather annoying, and I hope that doesn't ruin the film for me, I'm optimistic it won't.
Your accent's very thick. You ever notice your accent makes things sound worse than they actually are?
I think I'll be able to get past his accent because there's so much more to enjoy about this film. Austin Butler, who plays Elvis in this film, he looks like he'll pass as an Elvis. He doesn't look a lot like Elvis, very different facial features, nose, etc. But I'm sure there's better look-alike Elvises out there, but you got to take into account the acting ability as well. Again, Tom Hanks doesn't do bad movies, and he doesn't work with bad actors. So you got to take that into account. Now, I'm not the biggest Elvis fan in the world, although I have to, or I've been to Graceland a few times, and once actually on the anniversary of Elvis's death. That's August 16th, if you didn't know. That's how I know I am far from the biggest fan. There were women standing along the wall. There's a rock wall along the street in front of Graceland. There were women that were lined up along that wall, and they were crying their eyes out. Now, this was back in 1997. Elvis died in 1977. That was exactly 20 years prior, and they were still devastated over his death. Now, a side note, it happened to be raining in Memphis that day, and I happened to come across a young Elvis impersonator. I'll never forget this. He had his car stuck in the mud. It was like a 1960s hot rod, and it was stuck in the mud. And I had a Jeep at the time, so I locked it in four-wheel drive, and I offered to pull him out of the mud, which he took me up on the offer. After I got his car unstuck, he offered me some money. It was maybe $10, $20. I don't remember. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but I told him, I said, listen, man, we're in Graceland. I want to share a little grace. Honest story. He thanked me. He thanked me very much. Very, very true story. I will never forget that. Now, back to the trailer. I like how they started out by showing Elvis as a young kid at the church revival. This, of course, is an important part of Elvis's history as a young man growing up in the South. This also shows that he was born to do what he did, to be a performer, to be the king of rock and roll. Absolutely love that. Get a haircut, Buttercup. Fantastic line. Probably my favorite line of the trailer. If these folks at that time only knew what was coming. Now, the women in the audience going absolutely insane over Elvis was not a dramatization. That's how they acted when Elvis arrived on the scene up until at least 20 years after he died. I was a witness. I saw it. They also, that's also why every dad in America wanted their daughter to stay away from his concerts. I get it. I got a young daughter. I get it. Now, the film's perspective, I like this. The story is shown from the perspective of Elvis's manager or promoter. That, of course, is Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks. And this is a great way, a clever and creative way to build the film's plot, in my opinion. I'm very excited to see this movie, if you can't tell. The film addresses the outrage from some of his opponents at the time, or adversaries, whatever you want to call them. They were talking about having him arrested and put in jail for the way he shook his body and he moved and that type of stuff. Again, because their daughters were in the audience, they didn't like that. They actually equated that to like pornography and things like that at the time. Now, again, if only those folks knew what would be coming in the not too distant future. Now, adding the historical events such as Kennedy's and Martin Luther King's assassinations give a bit of a historical perspective on the film as well. I like that. They didn't just skip over or ignore these events, and that helps the younger generation, the younger watchers that are watching this film, make the historical connections of when Elvis was alive and when these things took place in history. Because in their minds, maybe it's 100, 200 years ago, but it wasn't. It wasn't that long ago. So I think that's a great way. It kind of reminds me of how they did that in Forrest Gump a little bit.
I understand you were wounded. Where were you hit? In the buttocks, sir.
And that's a good thing. Now, again, Austin Butler does a great job playing the young, skinny Elvis and the older, drug-addicted and, well, fatter Elvis. Based on what I see in the trailer, he does a fantastic job throughout the film. Elvis was a complex individual, and I have to think Butler did a great job studying Elvis's complexities. So kudos to Austin Butler for this. Maybe he'll win an Oscar. Who knows? We'll see. Now, in conclusion, the film looks like it's going to be very, very good. As I stated from the beginning, I don't know if I'm a big enough Elvis fan to see this film in the theater. However, I will say this, the only reason I'm leaning towards seeing this film in the theater is for the musical quality aspect of the film. I got to think, unless you have a great sound system in your home, we would miss out on that aspect of this film, the musical side of this film, if we didn't see it in the theaters. Now, I will definitely be watching it for sure, 100%, when it's released on video or a streaming channel, and I'll pay for the rental fee. I'm not going to wait until it's free. I'm excited to see this movie. So what do you think of my take on this trailer? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your comments below. I will make sure to address them at the end of my next video. Now, on to the comments for my last video I did on Black Adam, the Black Adam trailer. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened, all but one of the comments disappeared from my YouTube channel before I could get to them and copy them. I'm not sure what happened. YouTube? What happened? There were comments from TCB Reacts. He does a fantastic job. He and his daughter, they have a channel where they do reactions to music videos, and they go way back. They look at old stuff, compare it to new stuff. Very entertaining. I would highly recommend you check out TCB Reacts. His daughter Freeberg and the Bear do these reactions. They're very, very good, very entertaining. There were some comments by Survival and Cybertoxin, but again, they disappeared before I could copy them. So my apologies, guys. Leave comments again. I'll make sure I get to them. We'll get to them sooner before they disappear. Again, I don't know what happened. Now, there was one comment that did stick around. It was from Brooke for Bama, and she writes, "I'm glad that you're doing these reactions. Nice," she said. "Yeah, I probably won't see that one," meaning Black Adam, although I do like The Rock. And Brooke for Bama, I agree. I like The Rock too. I just don't like him in this film. I think it's going to be a bust. You should do a reaction, she goes on to say, to the movie Spiderhead that will be coming to Netflix. It looks pretty good. Now, I just might do that, Brooke for Bama, and thank you for the recommendation, and thank you for your comment. Keep them coming. This is John with Backyard Reactions. Until next time, put your cell phones away and enjoy the movie.